Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Sapo Saturdays. You got your boy Dave.
And your boy Dave.
Welcome to another day at the studio with the Daves.
That's right.
We're happy to have you here, man. Thanks for making the trek out.
Yeah, we've got Spencer Davidson, a.k.a. Azlan Audio, in the studio. Welcome from the OC.
Welcome, brother.
Howdy. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man. We are here interviewing artists as often as we can, most Saturdays, talking about the artist's journey, seeing where they started, where they're going, how they're making their art into a career, and we're super stoked to have you. So let's get right into it. I was looking through your electronic press kit, trying to do a little studying up on you. It says you're from the OC. Were you born and raised there?
Yeah, I was born in Newport and raised in Irvine. Then I made my way back to Newport, where I went to high school.
Cool. So did you grow up in the drum and bass scene, or is that something that you kind of were hip to later on?
Honestly, it's kind of evolved over time. Like, you know, I started out in like film and editing film when I was like probably 12, 13, 14. And then I went slowly to music editing, and that's where I discovered electronic music. And then I discovered this kind of untouched version of electronic music called drum and bass that was happening in the UK at the time, in Germany and Europe, and it hadn't really quite made its way over here to the US. This is about 2005, 6, 7, 8, and it was slowly coming over, slowly, and now we're at a point where drum and bass is worldwide, and people that are looking to expand their palette have access to drum and bass, and it's kind of evolved into a really cool different thing.
When you first kind of found out about it, were you more into the culture of it, or were you actually into the music and it kind of you were immersed in that?
That's a good question. So it's different in, here in Orange County versus like England and in Europe, because I was friends with a lot of surfers, and we were part of the surf culture. And we would basically
and surf is a lot of rock and roll, isn't it?
Surf is rock and roll, reggae, ska, all that.
Yeah,
all
like
that
Dick's Dale type.
Well, it's like,
I mean, if you're doing
it's
surf
like
music specifically,
Pepper, and even like I know Kaleo Wiseman. I've talked with him many times, and even
out in the surf.
No, just out in town. I know people that like know him, and then I know Rodney Shepherd from Sugar Ray, who's actually cool. He's a neighbor of my parents, and so like we run in, we talk about things time to time, and we kind of just trade musicality, music talk shop and stuff.
Does he actually wake up with the halo hanging over his head like
every morning, man?
I don't know. I'm not there when he wakes up, but
in the corner of his 4 points bed,
right?
Shit, man.
No, he is a great place. He has a lot of memorabilia on the wall. He's got posters and awards and everything, and a lot of those guys are, I was hearing them on the radio when I was like, for probably 5, 6, 7 years old in the 90s, you know what I mean? So it's cool when you like kind of meet the people that were big when you were, coming up in your life.
And that's kind of the cool thing about California, is because this is where so many of the creative industries are, like the hubs are. There's so many creatives that live out here or just work, and you see them just kind of in the streets, and it's really cool being surrounded by that.
Yeah, and you don't know if you're like at the grocery store and you meet someone and you're like, oh, well, my neighbor is Ron Welty from The Offspring, who's the original drummer. And I'm
That's
just
so cool.
And I'm like, really? Like, I grew up listening to his music, and then, like next thing you know, I'm in his studio, like, in Tustin, and we're working on stuff,
How did that come to be? Just
friends, no friends, and it's like, hey, like, I know this guy and blah, 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 and I'm like, okay, I'm here, and then it's like, oh, you did this. Oh, cool. Well, I'm doing this, and the guy, and, it's like, whoa, this is cool. I've never heard this kind of music. It's like drum and bass, Like, I've been in the studios where it's like, a lot of hip-hop people, a lot of, like, country people, hip-hop people, and I show them, like, drum and bass hip-hop or drum and bass country, and they're just like...
Mind blown.
Oh, yeah, because I love melding of genres, no matter if it's like rock and electronic or it's different elements like hip hop people, because I could play the most basic beats in hip hop and have like hip hop people just go like, whoa, like mind blown. You know what I mean? So like an 808 with like hi-hat and like a pad. And then I play them drum and bass and they're just like, whoa, like I can't even right now. They have to like step out of the studio because they're just like so like mind blown. You know what I mean? So it's different.
So let's take it back because we kind of I veered us off for a second, but I was asking you whether you were kind of first into the culture or the music itself, and you were talking about the guy from Sugar Ray and
yeah. So going back to that, I was more into the music definitely because it's different culturally. I mean, I grew up with reggae and stuff like that, and so the reggae elements within drum and bass really kind of perked my interest, and I was kind of like into that, and so yeah, I would say it was more the music, but I wasn't like I don't count myself as like I'm a junglist because that's what a lot of drum and bass people call themselves, are junglists, and that's great. That's awesome. That's about the culture. For me, I'm about the music.
What is a junglist?
Junglist is someone who, it's a great question. Junglist is someone, the best way I can explain it is somebody who's into drum and bass, who's part of the drum and bass movement and only into that type of drum and bass. It's called
Exploring the jungles of drum and bass.
Well,
Not
like,
to be confused with Juggalo,
That's right.
right?
Juggalo.
That's a whole different scene.
Wow. Yeah. No. Shout out. You could probably have a friend of mine. Her name's on the show. Her name is Reed Speed. She would probably love to be on the show. She lives like in Santa Monica, and she's like the OG of drum and bass. She's from New York too. I think she's from, God forgive me, Reed, Long Island? No, Queens. Maybe that was.
I was born in Queens, lived
this
there
guy
for a little
from.
while, and then moved to Long Island.
Yeah.
Small world.
Small world, right? Yeah.
So you know her.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you see
Reed and I are old
yeah,
friends.
yeah, it's crazy.
I'm kidding, man.
Why do I not believe you?
His face was like, wait, really?
So we did pretty good on that. We fooled him a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Love it.
So taking it back to, you started with video editing when you were 12, 13. Were you making your own films, or what exactly were you editing?
Yeah, I mean, I was editing, honestly, surf footage of me and my friends, or of friends, or hey, you know, I got my uncle does video or surf photography. Here's a bunch of footage, and you know, I would do that stuff at like different times. But I saved up one summer just like that. It was hot outside, and I saved up. I'd take people's mail, and when they're on trips and stuff, I'd dog walk, I would wash cars and stuff so I could save up for a Mac computer. And so I did that when I was 14, 15, and then I finally had enough money, and it was my birthday too, so my parents kind of matched it, helped me out a little bit, and they got me a computer that I could start editing on. So with Final Cut and iMovie and stuff.
And so, in your EPK, it was talking about when you were 16, that's when your love for music was really sparked. So it sounds like it was right around the time that you got that computer. Is that right?
It was, yeah, because I discovered a program on it called GarageBand. And I just go, okay, this is, it was like something, it was like, it wasn't even just like, wow, this is cool. It was like something, like, it was like a gut punch to like right in the feels. And I'm just like, wow, I could really, this is something that I want to do. And so I'd spend all weekend just working on music and working on beats and stuff like that. And my friend gave me a CD. It was a demo CD of, or a burnt CD of, it was Pendulum Hold Your Color. Have you ever heard that album?
I haven't. No.
Yeah. It is responsible for fusing drum and bass and rock together, but also bringing it to a mainstream crowd. It was released in 2005 on Breakbeat Chaos, DJ Fresh's label, and there's not really much to say besides that just is what really got me into the electronic side, because I was coming off of an avid love for Radiohead. So that just fused right into the drum and bass, and it was just there you go.
Radiohead is so great. We were actually talking about them on the last show
with Pretty Ugly.
Yeah,
shout out Pretty Ugly. What's
shout out
up?
Pretty Ugly. But yeah, we were. I brought up Everything in Its Right Place, which is probably my favorite song of theirs. It's so cinematic. It's been in a lot of movies recently too.
But
what's up?
Vanilla Sky, right? That's what Quinn was
Vanilla
talking
Sky,
about.
and I was saying it was just in The Creator as well. I think. That sci-fi
that was shot on the FX3.
That's
which
right.
is cool.
Yeah. Very good, Dave.
We're nerding out over here a little
Yeah.
bit.
Love it.
We're the Daves. We're
Yeah.
goofballs.
No, you were about to say scratch track, weren't you? Or no?
Well, I was going to say demo track, but it wasn't an official demo. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it was a burnt CD. But before I was into a lot of like, it's called, like after that, when I got on DJing, I was into vinyl white label records, like literally dovetailing right from that time.
What are white label?
White labels is like they don't have a label; they'll just press the record on.
Oh.
It's like a independent label, but it's not a label. It's like just, hey, we'll go to the cutting house, we'll release it ourselves, and
Just as the band, like you just pay for it yourself.
yeah, you just do it yourself, and
Yeah.
no label, and like tons of people have done it that are now humongous. Chase and Status is a good example. Came on Crooked. Just tons of different, and sometimes they do something called bootlegs. I don't know if you know what bootlegs are, but
No.
But bootlegs are when they're now extremely prevalent. So you hear what's a big bootleg track right now? It's like, you know, I come from the land down under
Yep.
with
Yeah.
like lewd. Yeah. That's technically a remix, but I'd have to discuss with my friends at Apple with this because they would really know exactly what it is. I think that it got so big that it became a remix and they got the rights to like really blow it. Like it gets to a certain point where bootlegs, like they're played all over the clubs or the festivals and all that stuff. And then it gets to a point where it's like, oh, it's starting to go up in streams. And then the label comes and they're like, hey, it's either going to come down or you're going to pay us a cut. Usually the artist will pay him a cut.
And you got to be careful about that. I was literally just reading about how P. Diddy sampled Every Breath You Take by Sting without asking for permission. Sting found out about it, and there was like some quote that said the money that he gets from that now put all of his kids through college. It's like $2,000 a day, I think, is what he
crazy.
has to pay for having used that. Yeah, it's wild. And and I saw something else with reference to another Sting song that Juice WRLD used, and it was like P. Diddy put my kid through college. Juice WRLD allowed me to retire whenever I want, or something like that. It's like it's absolutely crazy. So you got to be careful about what
Good
you
for you, Sting. Right? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
But
Not
yeah,
bad.
so with these bootlegs, there's I guess a risk of lawsuit because people are just sampling stuff without permission, huh?
Not as much today. I mean, like, unless it's like a huge record that, like let's say I did a bootleg of like Imagine Dragons or something, like
Right.
Radioactive or something.
Yeah.
You know, and which has been, you know, remixed and bootleg probably hundreds of times by now. And it depends. There's a threshold that you hit where the label heads of like the label that own the track, let's say it's like Universal, will go, hey, this remix is becoming really popular. And then either they'll discuss with the manager of the band or they'll discuss with the band and they'll say, hey, like, what do you think? Do you guys want it out? And it depends. If it's like a cash cow, let's say it's like a, you know what it's kind of a, it's this music called funk, PHUNK. And it's, in my opinion, extremely poorly mixed, like when you're doing final mixes and stuff. But they remix all of these songs, like, you know, let's say it's you know, like a Radioactive by Mad Dragons, and they release the song. It gets millions of streams, like beyond millions. Okay, there's two choices: take it down, or hey, we're gonna partner with you, and we're gonna show it to our audience, but we're also gonna take we're gonna take like a majority cut of all your streams. You know what I mean? Depending on the deal.
And it's funny because it's that double-edged sword of like, man, I just want to blow up so badly, but like then you're on the radar of these people that can take all of your shit.
Yeah, and honestly, at that point, it would be so streams don't get you the money that it used to, or even, you know, like in today, or even like the buys and you know, like if you're selling on a like a vinyl record today, it just doesn't pull the same weight as it used to, like even 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Which is why a lot of musicians say that they have to tour in order to make some sort of a living.
Yeah, or you could sell something, you know, like for instance, merch. Like I don't really have merch. I do have a Japanese steel Damascus knife that I sell for my merch.
Oh wow,
That's cool.
Yeah,
Where can I buy one?
You could buy one. You can send me a DM on Instagram, and I will get you squared away. Anybody can.
What does it look like?
Oh,
You don't have it in your pocket, do you?
I don't have it in my pocket.
does
no.
it cut cans?
cut cans?
It's a the movie Garden
What
State.
kind-
had
what
this
kind of
whole-
cans?
Whole thing about these knives that were supposed to cut cans, and that's why
Aluminum cans,
Yeah,
or these cans?
aluminum.
You got the cans. You got the cans.
I love it.
So you're working on GarageBand. Were you using the keyboard from the computer in order to make beats and sounds and things, or were you using like a keyboard, like a piano keyboard that you plugged in?
A MIDI keyboard.
MIDI keyboard.
So I started with just the computer and just the sounds, and I'd sample things, and I'd find things on the internet, and I'd take it off, and I'd resample and all that stuff.
And were you just going off of your gut, or did you do a little bit of YouTube University and kind of figure out how people were working the program and how people were putting some of these songs together?
Oh, it's all YouTube. It's all. I credit. I have I got a degree. I have all the bells and whistles, all the and on paper it's great, but I credit my career. Pretty much everything I do, I credit to YouTube because I'm an auditory and visual person. When I was a kid, I couldn't read until I was 14. So I needed instruction visually and auditorily. So I do books on tape. I do Audible. I was listening to an audiobook on the way up here. And so YouTube University and Reddit University that's where I live.
And it would seem to me, when you're talking about the program GarageBand coming onto your radar being like a gut punch, it's like if you have, reading deficiencies and the language in that way isn't your primary source of communication because it's a source of frustration, then I would assume that the music is sort of like the way that you felt like you could communicate. Or am I way off base?
My music is my artistic expression.
Yeah.
It's the way, instead of like I wanted to make movies and be a film director when I was 14, 15. And then I realized, I said, I need a whole crew. I need this. I need to go to school. I need to do that. And you're learning editing, all that stuff. And then I did a summer thing at New York Film Academy when I was in, I don't know, 16, 17. And I did New York Film Academy, and my counselor at the time, his name is the Olsen twins' younger brother. It was Trent Olsen, the Olsen twins' younger brother, and great guy, film director and everything. And he told me, he goes, Spencer, you're really good in sound. You should really focus on the sound for film and the scoring. So that's what I did. And then I really took that to heart, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I worked on video game soundtracks and soundtracks for other films, and
That is so cool.
so just
When
small.
was that? At what?
New York Film Academy?
Yeah. How long ago did you go?
2007.
Wow,
Long time ago.
that's wild.
So to rewind again, we're making music on GarageBand. We're getting into the drum and bass scene. At what point do you decide, okay, I'm going to go out and hit the warehouses and hit these parties? And how did you get involved in that?
Well, I was one of 5 DJs on my high school campus. It was very rare to run into. It started picking up in 2009, 2010 when kids started downloading the software to learn how to DJ.
And now everyone and their mother is
Oh,
a DJ.
You could DJ on that thing over there.
Yeah.
Literally, you could DJ on your phone.
yeah,
On your phone.
On this mixer.
Yeah, I guess you could do that on the mixer, literally like the Yamaha over there. But
Yeah.
honestly, it's now there's so many different thresholds of you could be hired, you could be given $400 to just play some music on your phone at a senior gathering or something. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's the gig. I'll get a neighbor saying, "Hey, we need a DJ for Betsy's 80th birthday. You don't want to do it?" And it's yeah, sure. Here's my price. Oh yeah, no problem, hun.
And that's the other beautiful thing about being in California, that people are willing to pay the premium.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they're just Spencer's so sweet.
Yeah.
You just
Oh,
get
he's such a nice boy.
you just get Betsy just toasted. Just
Yeah. Yeah. So like anyway, back to your thing. I can get off topic real quick.
Oh, us too.
Back to your original question. Yeah. So I found, these guys, this group of guys, and they were all surfers. And, it was, my friend Ryan, Kip, Glenn, who, passed away in 2015, unfortunately, who was like one of my great, mentors in music. Which is insane because one of the last things he told me, he died from cancer. One of the last things he told me was, don't give up on music. Long story short. And, Ryan, Kip, Glenn, and then my friend Ronnie, who's still going strong in drum and bass. And we, work on stuff together, and we see each other around and, doing stuff in Orange County. And we started they knew the companies like Ruka and Volcom and Atwater when Atwater's around, and Sabervision, and we'd get hired to go to these parties and bring our sound system and do these big warehouse parties when we were like 16, 17. It was experience because I was DJing in front of like 400 or 500 people. Yeah. And there were things going on, and it was just like it was a situation where it was just like what is going on here? And so that is what kicked the fear like out of me. You know what I mean?
Right. And then at what point do you kind of look around and say, I could make a career out of this? Or was it right from the get-go that you were like, this is what I want to do?
I wanted to be like the very best, like no one ever was. You know what I'm saying?
Trailblazer.
Yeah, exactly. And I just knew in my heart, I was like, this is like what I want to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's, yeah.
And then I was reading that you have released music with Play Me Records, Sorted Sounds, Sci-Fighter Records, Whatever Records. So how did you get involved with all of these labels?
It's actually called Whatever Records. You're not just like being.
No, I'm not being
like,
an asshole.
whatever.
Yeah, no, it's called what? It's actually Whatever.
Okay.
It's not even Whatever.
Okay. I wasn't privy on that info, so
Yeah.
it just made me wonder.
So I got involved with them via like just friends, and I just know them.
Yeah.
And Play Me's actually Reed Speed's label.
Okay.
And this was before I I met her, and I was like, hey, I have these songs, these records, and she was like, oh yeah, like send them over. And so I just show her what was going on, and yeah, it just kind of, and then Sci-Fighter Records is my record label with my friend,
That's cool.
yeah, my friend Tyler, and I release on there a lot, and then I also have what other. Whatever Records is my friend James's label.
Interesting. So if Sci-Fighter is yours, I was looking also at some of the places that you've performed, and one of them was the Sci-Fighter Festival. So you've put on your own festival.
Super cool.
I put on my own festival with Robot Sunrise.
Oh wow.
Yeah, another one of your guests.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Shout
absolutely love Robot Sunrise. And why don't you tell us about how the two of you met and how that relationship started?
We met through this thing called Industry Talks, and our friend Kyle Emerson Brown, Roman Perry, and Danny Robot Sunrise created this night where industry people would come together, and they'd be on a panel, and they'd talk about the industry, hence his Industry Talks of music industry. And I just had conversations, and I was like, hey, I know this lighting guy. Would you like to be involved? And Danny's like, yeah, totally. Okay. So we got Danny, and Danny's also a Cancer. I'm a Cancer. My friend Tyler is the lighting guy, who's the founder of Sci-Fighter, is also a Cancer. So we're all just
Kismet.
Huh?
It was Kismet.
What's that?
Oh, it's like
Like serendipitous?
yes.
Like
Yes.
serendipity?
Yes.
Yeah, very serendipitous, 100%. And I've never heard that. Kismet.
Is that a Yiddish word? we'll call it that. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Exactly.
The more you know.
So in addition to putting on your own festivals, I saw that you were at Electric Future, the Utopia Festival, Biquinox. So how did you get involved in those other festivals? Did the promoters just kind of become aware of your music and then they were inviting you to these things, or were you reaching out yourself?
Both. I was performing. I was performing with Sci-Fighter, with the stage. We bring the stage out and stuff like that, and we'd bring our lights and our truss, in our visuals. That was a big thing. And we've gained a lot of different. Going out in the desert, you'll find a lot of, like Tatooine, like on Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's with the Jawas and things.
Yep.
It's just like that. It's just like that. I'm not kidding. Like there's things that are just like, oh, this is just a big pile of junk. And then you're like, no, these are legit LED, panels that you can light up and like put visuals behind that are just literally sitting in this shipping container out in the middle of the desert.
So it's like a million different variations of Burning Man.
Oh yeah, and I don't know if it says on there, but or if it says in my EPK, but I also performed Burning Man last year.
No, I
Nice,
didn't
man.
know that.
Oh,
So you were in the middle of the mud.
right in the middle.
Did you go with Robot Sunrise, or were you?
Robot Sunrise was there, and
Yeah.
I saw him there.
Yeah.
I didn't go with him. I went with this other camp called Lumi Dance. It's a Cookie, Marilyn. Also, she makes these.
Yeah, I
things
was
called-
looking at that.
These
That
things
looks really
called
cool.
cookie packs. I took this to Burning Man last
The
year.
ultimate satchel.
Yeah,
Super
exactly.
cool.
That is really
exactly.
good.
Yeah, dragon scales, right?
Yeah.
And
What you got in there?
wallet.
Easy,
I'm
Dave.
just kidding. You don't have to tell me.
Don't worry
don't
about
have
it,
to
man.
tell me.
Wallet, keys. Yeah,
He's got his
I
knife
could
in
ask,
there.
yeah.
You want to see it, man?
actually, I no, it's not in there. I do keep like my pocket knife in there sometimes.
And
but
if you keep asking, he's going to show it to you, man. But not in the way you'd like. All right?
For real?
what?
Just kidding.
Yeah, no comment. But literally, went with Lumi Dance last year, and we have a huge stage. We performed every night. I performed on Monday. Speaking of serendipity, I digitally met this guy named Jason Page. He's the original singer of the Pokemon song.
Cool.
So he goes,
catch them all.
yeah, he goes, hey, I'm going to be at Burning Man. Like, I'm like, cool, me too. I told him my set time. We were about 3 hours late on the set time. I go up like 30 seconds before my set. He just is like, hey, it's me, Jason. And I go, no way. I can't believe it was so it was not meant to happen. You know what I mean? So Jason walks up, and then Riley, my friend, who's one of the leads, he comes down and he goes, hey, you want a microphone? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So we plug in the microphone. I have because there's every time you go on a rig, unless you do a sound check, you have to check the rig. Like you have to have a mini sound check. Mm-hmm. So I usually usually takes me maybe about 3 minutes, 4 minutes to make sure everything's working right. I had about 33 seconds. So I checked everything, and there were buttons that were not working. So I go, okay, well, this will be very interesting. I go to hit because the dust out there, the dust is so, I go to hit play button, it doesn't work and stuff like that. So, but it was fine because I was able to start the Pokemon song, and he adjusted it because you can't have any branding at Burning Man. Mm-hmm. So instead of gotta catch them all, it was gotta burn them all.
Nice.
So he, adjusted accordingly, which was he's amazing. He is. It's like he recorded this song. He recorded it in the 90s. It's like he recorded this song last week. He is still his voice is just still spot on. Big shout, Jason.
And
That's
it would
awesome.
seem to me that or it seems to me that as a DJ, it's the whole sound system is sort of your instrument. So you almost have to be a sound engineer in order to pull off these gigs. I mean, when we had Robot Sunrise perform live at an event we put on, he actually wound up engineering sound for all of the other performers, and it's
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Danny.
thank you
I think it's-
so much. That was a lifesaver. Such a nice guy.
how did he engineer? Was he playing their music, their artists?
Well,
music?
it's just we weren't as proficient with the equipment, so we
I had COVID. I wasn't there.
Yeah,
You
he
speak,
wasn't-
You speak for yourself.
I
man.
wasn't as
Yeah,
proficient
you
with the
speak for yourself.
equipment. He's mostly the equipment guy, so I didn't have him. And yeah, Danny just stepped up, but he was checking all of the levels, making sure that everything was kind of perfect for all of these performers.
He was
that were gonna
sound
perform
checking
live.
the artists, and then kind of seemed like he was tracking the settings, and then
But it
Yeah.
seems like you have to know all of that. Or is
You
that not
do.
the case?
No.
Because you're not always going to be traveling with some sort of an engineer to set that up for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, you you do have to know all that. You know what I mean? And when push comes to shove, I have to step in and like fix things. I'm not some guy who's going to be like listening every second as I'm playing my show and being like, oh, if there's something really like happening, like if there's like really heavy distortion, I will take care of it.
Sure.
But I'm not like actively, if it's playing, then it's playing, and I'm in the game of DJing.
Right.
That's my hat at that moment.
Right.
In time. And so, but yes, you have to have a basic knowledge of everything. Unless you have so much money that you have engineers on staff.
Right.
And you're a guy who just doesn't have, I want to get to the point where that's me and I'm not worried about it. I just hire my friends to take care of all the levels. Like I personally know the engineer. Actually, me and Danny have a mutual friend. He engineered the all of the sound at the Giant Sphere in Vegas.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
nice. I'm hoping to go there for Dead and Company. Go see that.
Yes, you know,
which would be sweet,
and which would be like the ultimate place that I would love to perform, because I have my ultimate show is I have many, like I can do a cut down versions of my show, like I can. My show's very modular, but my thing is that I want to perform at Sphere with a very audio visual experience.
Totally.
If that
Well,
makes sense.
let's. Sorry.
That is a whole conversation in itself, because that's kind of like changing how tours work. Because to make the visuals for that venue, if you're you have to commit to like a lot of shows there. I think you can't just do one. You have to do like a large number of shows, because the amount of money it costs to make the visuals for the screens, you can't use at any other venue. It's just for that venue, which is wild. And so I think that's why like Dead and Company is continuing to play there. It was just supposed to be that one little section, and they played again. I think there's a handful of artists that are like doing 15 plus shows there. Wow. So it's like if you were to make that a stop, it's not considered a stop on the tour anymore. Like you just go from venue to venue to venue, make a stop at the Sphere. That's not a thing. It's like, it's wild how it's revolutionized how touring works. It's kind of like Vegas, where you would go do a residency. It's only residencies, you know? So it's like ideally getting a residency there.
Right. I mean, that is a whole nother conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah.
Just on like how Sphere is changing the business of touring.
Yeah, but you know, that's the basics of it, is what I wanted to say.
I do want to get into a little bit of your music, so if you can play that one right there with the red. Yeah.
I was once like you.
I was once like you. Yeah. Are you okay with us starting with that? Yeah. All right, cool. This is Azlan Audio. I was once like you. Check it out.
Is that you? Look at our world. I never felt you this strong before. Beautiful stranger, don't be afraid, for I was once like you. Now that I'm older, I see through the darkness born within. Don't tell me where you'll go. I was once like you. I'll go with my heart on this one. I was once like you. Stay here where we need you. I was once like you. I know that you are strong enough. I was once like you. 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 I was once like you.
straight vibes. You should have seen me yesterday. I was on the freeway listening to your music, and I'm just driving. I was once like you.
Oh, that's crazy.
So, with a song like that, I feel like
It's really good.
It's
really,
great,
really
and
good.
It gave me maybe I'm mixing genres, but it gave me lo-fi vibes, which it was really cool, soothing. I was wondering, it
Makes me want to drive faster. I don't know what you're talking about. Soothing. I want to go like drive fast.
I know, but there was something about like this Zen state, like drive with that the
Yeah, I want to drive
rush
quickly.
of the lights passing by you. Yeah, man.
I also want like laser beams, like.
But with a song like that, I feel like a lot of this type of music isn't as lyric heavy. So do you try to lean away from lyrics, or do you like to add a lot of lyrics to your beats?
It depends. It always like depends. I've been on a kick of, my thing is like vocal destruction. Mm-hmm. So it's just, it's like the like Skrillex said it best. It's like the human like skull is the best synthesizer, because every single skull is unique. And so when you formulate words, you use your jaw and your mouth, and everything's different. So every voice is different, no matter what it is. So it's a great synthesizer, because it's if you have a digital synth, it's all like coded, in a certain way. Like Serum sounds different from like Faceplant, and those are soft synths. But every single person's skull is different, so you can put chorus effect, all these different effects, pitch emulators, frequency shifters, like all of these different format shifters. You can do all these things to a human voice to make it sound unique and cool. So when I work with a song, I do like to have vocals. They're cool, but sometimes when I do a DJ set, I like to just have the instrumental, because sometimes vocals take away from the vibe that you're creating with the instruments.
And when you do a song like that live, do you do the vocals live, or do you just play the track?
Something like that, I hardly ever sing. That's actually my voice, which is kind of, the people just can't believe it. They're like,
cool.
My friends that know me, they're like, that's not your voice. I'm like, yeah, I know. But I don't know why I sang over it. I just wanted something that had vocals in it.
Yeah.
And then I was listening to, it came out in like 2017, 18. And that was when like Rez was coming on the scene. So I'm like, why don't I make something that's like kind of Rez-y, but that has like this interesting, weird vibe that's like chill, but it's also like heavy at the same time. So
And when you have this type of music that incorporates lyrics, would you say you're more trying to convey a message or a feeling?
both.
Like
that message in that, it's funny because I haven't listened to that song for a long time, and listening to your own music, you're kind of like, wow, what was in my mind when I was making that song? And
like a time capsule.
Well, like that song, if I could explain that song in one sentence, it is, sometimes when you love someone, you got to be a stranger.
Elaborate on that.
He only said one sentence.
I know, but now I'm asking for more.
Well, like sometimes, like I have this journey. You have the journey. Let's say it's like, you're Picasso, you're a painter, you're this, that, the other thing. For me, I'm a musician, and I want to spread my message to the world. That's like what I want to do as a musician, artist, songwriter, business owner, all that stuff. And I want to rule my world. You know what I'm saying? And you have somebody that you energetically love, maybe, and you both you could sit for hours and just laugh. You know what I mean? But you are on two different missions, and maybe sometimes it's not a good idea to be in the same room together and working. You're on different missions.
And so being together kind of holds back both of the missions.
Exactly. And you're kind of almost toxic for each other.
And when you talk about the music being a way that you can spread your message to the world, what would you say that message is?
Well, I mean, you're late 30s, right?
unfortunately.
You're late 30s. Well,
No, dude.
I mean, I'm almost mid. I'm pretty much mid right now.
Next
but-
week.
Look,
Next
first
week,
time
man.
I've ever heard someone say the late 30s for me. Damn, man. I'm
Old man.
No,
Okay,
no,
mid.
no, it's fine. It's
Mid,
fine. It's
mid.
fine. No, you're right. It's I gotta
The
face
old Daves.
Yep.
No, like, well, I'm getting there too. I'm 34 on what day is it? Thursday.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
you're still early 30s.
What I'm saying is like you play. Did you both play Halo?
Yeah,
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, like you know the message in like Halo. It's like the hero's journey, that sort of thing.
Sure.
It's like for me, I spent so long being like the Master Chief and being a like a Spartan, like a warrior in music, and it's just like studio session, DJ show, da da da, ba da, boom, 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 all these different things. I didn't have time to have relationships, like have a girlfriend, like have like go to Knott's Berry Farm. You know what I mean?
Great
Just
place.
be a human.
Yeah, and it is
know what I
it
mean?
is difficult when you're someone that is pursuing some creative journey to have the best of both worlds like that, because if you really want to pursue something avidly, you have to give your all to it. And then there's no time or energy left for someone else sometimes, and that's tough.
And
That is a very interesting thought. And like I don't know that we've ever had somebody like speak on that on the show before. You know?
Earlier on,
I don't-
in some of the early episodes, I used to ask some of the artists, is it difficult for you to have relationships and a significant other because of
It's
that?
hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And it takes a lot of dedication, you know? So like good on you for putting your life to it, you know?
Well, I mean, I want to ultimately, find someone who's on the same mission as myself.
Right.
And that's why I say that is because you are on missions, but it's like the time is not to be with each other, and you can respect one another from a distance, and you have to let them live their life for a little bit, and then maybe you can come back into their life. But for now, it's like you have to be away.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned Skrillex earlier, and I saw that you list that you have support from 12th Planet, Airglow, Skyja, Wookie, Jack Knight, the Legend, Danny Bird, Reed Speed, and Skrillex. And I'm wondering, what does that mean you have support from? Have you worked with all of those people? Are they just proponents of your music? How do you mean?
Support is a broad, and that's why I'm glad you brought it up. Support is a broad thing. It's support could be like I having a conversation with Skrillex, which was like the situation, and I explained to him like kind of like how I'm talking to you about music, and he goes, "Oh yeah, like I dig that." You know what I mean? That to me, that's support. Other people would say, "Well, that's not support. That's just you talking," which I understand that. And support in a music sense could also mean playing someone's song out,
Sure.
playing someone's music out, which a couple of those artists do. You know,
Well,
what I mean?
but I mean, when you talk about it's just having a conversation, I mean, even someone validating your thoughts and someone that's so well respected in the music community, specifically in the type of music that you do, that's, huge.
Yes.
And that's a reason to keep going sometimes. That's a reason to create.
It is so much support. Even like makes me think of like Kiana, like where they're like, you're going to be a star, like that influence of hers, like where she was about to give up,
Yeah,
and
so-
let her dream go, and she goes to a show, and who
It was Pierce the Veil.
Pierce the Veil,
I believe, was the concert, and she was talking to one of the members of the band when she was like 13, and she had a really rough upbringing to that point, and she kind of wanted to give up on life. And the concerts were the things that kind of kept her going. And when she met this member of the band, he said to her, "You're going to be a rock star." And she held on to that. And 10 years later, to the date, she was working with that person in a musical capacity.
and like that's crazy because like to me that is support, like what you're saying, like it
Yeah.
doesn't have to, and it just validates like you as a person in that moment from somebody who's at that level, like because they could also fucking tear you down in that moment and be
Yeah.
like, you're never gonna make it. That sounds dumb.
People
Which
are
would they
fucking mean.
people are mean.
Yeah.
Like hopefully that would never happen, but like it it's true, and I don't think that that's like loose ended or anything like that. Saying that you have support from those people, I think that's very true.
It's kind of like, I mean, you can name drop all day and stuff like that, and like people are like, some people have said like, oh, you name drop too many times. Like, yeah, but I'm working with high level people, and it's relating. It's basically me relating. If I meet somebody new, I'm like, well, I know this person, I'm working with that, all this stuff. I'm name dropping there because I want for them to understand the caliber of where I'm at. I'm not just a guy who plays every weekend at a bar in my local place.
Right.
I'm a guy who is I'm strategic when it comes to my shows, and I want the shows to be good.
Yeah.
And when I'm performing, when I'm on, I'm on. It is very like the last show I did. It was at the Wayfair. I headlined the Wayfair in Costa Mesa, and there was a guy who was I was opening for him. Technically, he was playing after me, and he goes, I've never seen someone like do that. Never seen someone so focused, so on, so in the element that it was like every ancestor, that in my bloodline was like with me in that moment. Every angel, every ancestor, every that was there with me in that moment of when I was performing.
I love that thought. And so when you talk about wanting to play a space like the Sphere, I imagine that, or maybe I'm wrong, that you already have some sort of a visual component to your shows. Or,
yes.
Okay, so what is that like, and what is the creation of that like? Do you put that together yourself? Do you outsource that? And what exactly is the visual element?
I'm going to time myself because honestly, we could be here all day talking about this. But here's the thing. So Azlan is my artist name, but it's a planet.
Okay.
Where every man, woman, and child have to wear special sunglasses to avoid blindness because they orbit a star 10 times brighter than Earth's sun. Technology is advanced that sound is used as a weapon, manipulating synth-like instruments to create projectiles of plasma and dark matter. So I am a soldier. It's basically Azlan has become ancient Sparta. So they train children to learn how to do synthesizers, synthesize music and stuff. And I become so on the top of the special forces of the Aslanteans that the hierarchs deem me as a threat because through my experiences, I discovered peace and prosperity should be the new direction of our world. So the hierarchs is this group of old men who banished me to Earth, present day, using this new technology called time travel. So they time travel me back to present day Earth because this is taking place thousands of years in the future.
You came back from you're from the future? No,
me personally, no.
Well, now I know why you and Robot Sunrise resonate with each other.
Yeah,
because
I was just having a whole conversation with Danny on the phone the other day where he was like, it's progressed from where he explained it to us last time.
Jesus.
Yes. It's
and,
awesome.
But it's just so cool that both of you have built up these worlds that encompass the music that you've created so that it's not just its own entity, the music, but it's a facilitation of a greater concept. And that's wild.
It's really cool.
I mean, other people, I have some people that say I have a mental disorder.
Well,
I tell them about that.
I think everyone thinks that about creatives to some respect, and part of that is just not being able to see the vision, and that's on them.
That's part, yeah. In some way, I think it's part of your expression of wanting to be like a filmmaker and storyteller, and
it's to me. Shout out Star Wars Theory. He said it great. I don't know if you could follow him on social media. He's a great guy.
Don't, but I'll check him out.
But he's the biggest Star Wars channel on YouTube. And he goes, just give us a good story.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Just give us a good, doesn't matter on if it's a boy or a girl or this or that, anything like that. Just give us a good story.
Sure.
And I'm 100%, any story can be a Star Wars story. Just give us something good. It could be about 3 guys sitting in a room with a dog. And as long as it's a good story, we don't care.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So in facilitation of that story, what do you put together visually to show as part of this Azlan theme?
So it's a combination of visual graphics and acting.
Okay.
So I have I haven't really quite released it yet, and I probably won't for a while, but I have like basically, in one of the episodes, there's an episode where Robot Sunrise is there and Doll Machine's there, and I task, and we jump into this, I know this, shout out Amanda Darling. She's one of the top female trance DJs in the world. And we have like our lore is like kind of together. So I find her in present day Earth, and then I ask her to go travel back in time, you know, to different places. And we go forward in time so that, cause, there is an enemy that I have here on Earth that the hierarchs have sent to destroy me because they realize that I'm not dead. And I could, facilitate something that would happen in the future. But anywho, we jump forward in time. I have Robot Sunrise uplink into all the robots of the collective consciousness of Earth. And then we use that. And then I have this enemy called the Summoner. She summons like dark demonic beings to her cause into like this universe and this dimension. And so we do like robots versus demons in like this big battle. And that's episode
Like there's
1.
a whole film. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the story.
Wild.
It's all about the story.
And like
So-
the
so-
music is like a big part. Is like the music is a character in the film.
the music is a weapon.
'cause, like-
the music is a weapon.
Oh, true. Right, but yes. So like that's like a.
But it also builds the thematic landscape,
Right, it's so
in
interesting.
coinciding with that. It's awesome. So when it sounds like a combination of live action and animation, is that visually what people are seeing?
Yes. So I'm there, and like there's a part in my show when there is an overpowered being called the Angel of Light that resides over Earth that only the Aslanteans can see with my special glasses, right? And she is there protecting me, and ultimately just by I don't know, something happens catastrophic. I'm trying to like do the elevator pitch here.
Yeah.
Something happens catastrophic. She dies, and she dies in my arms. And in that moment where she dies in my arms, it's like, you ever see, I relate always to Star Wars. It's like, there's this part in the Clone Wars when Obi-Wan Kenobi is, standing over this Duchess who was killed. And she goes, "Remember, my dear Obi-Wan, I will love you always. I always will." Except the Angel of Light says, "Remember, my dear Aslantean, I will love you always. I always will." And it's a part where it's like really, really scary. And then all of a sudden it has this somber moment. And then it goes into this like beautiful moment of the set, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. When you're doing a live set, how important is it that the audience give you a certain level of energy? Are you going to be able to kind of hit your level regardless, or do you really feed off of that?
Every artist feeds off of it. And honestly, it is almost kind of going into a dark side, to be perfectly honest, because for me, I think that any artist should be able to perform even if there's like one person in attendance.
Totally.
So it's a very like, it hits on a like narcissistic kind of tone when it's like, I can't perform because nobody's here. Like, why should I perform, this, that? Now there's choices. So like for me, I've had to turn down shows because I'm in the studio, or I got a podcast interview, or I got other things that I'm, doing.
Sure.
And I have to really have a strategy when I perform. And sometimes, as much as or like for instance, I had an opportunity to do a show next weekend, but it's my birthday, and I'd really, and it's 3 hours away.
34. Let's go.
Exactly. And so I'd rather just kind of, have a time where if my artistic vibe is going, I do that. But any artist, if some artist has fear, let's say, and they can't do a show, and they're just, they're afraid to perform in front of people, what Bob Marley said, go out at 2 a.m. to a cemetery and perform for what they call the Duppy Man. Huh. Meaning the dead man.
Where did you hear this? That's probably the coolest thing that I've never heard from Bob Marley.
It's in his documentary.
That's so cool.
And I'm like that's exactly what you should do. Because it's all scary, it's all dark and weird. But if you're playing, it's like it's like magic.
That's
it just
wild,
if you can create the vibe, the vibe, you create a vibe and you'll be able to play in front of anybody.
That's so cool. I love that.
To the end of what you were saying, I kind of want to take a moment to shout out the Avant-Gardians, because at were you thinking about them too?
Bizarre. Like maybe 45 seconds ago, I was thinking about Ernie and Joe. I actually had a good conversation with them yesterday.
Nice.
Well.
Yeah. No, they do a lot of great music. They have a visual component that's super cool. But what made me think of them was this idea of no matter how big or small a crowd is, giving your all. And that same show that I mentioned that Robot Sunrise did the audio engineering for, they performed early on in that night, and there wasn't much of an audience except for me and one other guy that were kind of vibing out to their music. And they were performing like they were performing for 5,000 people. And they were just so in it, so animated, and it was a fucking great set.
Yeah.
And I was like privileged to have been in front of them for that. I felt cool about the fact that they were playing new music that they were going to be releasing soon and giving us a taste of that. But just like so good on them to really give 1,000% when they didn't have the audience to feed off of in that way. And that's a true performer.
Totally.
That's someone that's meant to be on this creative journey, because it resonates with them in a way that it doesn't matter what else happens, they're going to create, they're going to express in this capacity. And I love that mentality.
I performed in 110 degree weather when it's like in the middle of the desert. And then I also, flip side, I think the coldest DJ set I played was 20 degrees.
Wow.
Plus wind chill. And you're covered head to toe and your fingers are frozen and you're just doing it. And, you know, sometimes there's a crowd, sometimes not. But you just have to you have to play for you.
Yeah.
If you can't play for you, you're in this for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? If you're always looking over and doing stuff, when I'm performing, I'm like, I do feed off the energy, but first off, I got sunglasses on so I can hardly see anybody. But secondly, I'm playing for me and being like, I want people to kind of go inside my head and be like, whoa, what am I witnessing? If that makes sense.
They're not sunglasses, they're Aslantean glasses.
Exactly.
But,
you know?
But actually, the reason I was thinking of the Avant-Gardians was because when they called me, and I was thinking about Robot Sunrise, when Ernie from the Avant-Gardians called me, I was like thinking that they need to all meet, you know, and I think you should meet the Avant-Gardians as well. I think there's some synergy between.
Are they a band?
They're a group. It's two guys. They do like
they're
DJ
also
sets and
DJ
they like
type stuff. They sample music, and what's really cool about them is that they do like kind of themed concept albums where an entire album will be in Japanese, and then an entire album
Japanese,
will be
samples and stuff like that.
and then an
Super
entire
cool.
album would be in Brazilian,
No way.
Portuguese, and
Yeah.
and it's super wild. And they also have like this whole world that they've created with these characters that kind of mimic their being to a certain respect and are fighting in this ethereal war. It seems like with a lot of these stories, there's some grandiose war that's going on, and I think that speaks to the battle of life. You know, there's
You just said it.
yeah,
It does.
yeah. I mean, there's that constant struggle internally and externally that we're all facing on a regular basis, and you know, to take it into another world and expand on that world is very cool, but it plays on themes, whether you realize it consciously or not, that are very prevalent in all of our lives. And I think that's probably why it resonates with people. So how exciting is it for you when, like, because I feel like one of the coolest parts of this type of music is the drop. When you have that drop that, like, especially at in a festival setting, you've got the audience that like feels the anticipation of that moment where like the music is really about to pop. Is that an exciting moment for you?
Yes, and I actually had a call. Shout out Shock One with my Australian friend Shock One, he's an OG in the drum and bass scene for sure. And he reminded me that it's about the small details. It's about the small little elements within that drop. I mean, excuse me, you could have an amazing drop and like with the bass and the kick and the drums and the this. But if you, let's say, added like a pad underneath the verse, added something to keep the energy going, that your ears don't normally like you're not hearing it, but you're feeling it and your brain is hearing it, if that makes sense. Like you're like, this song sounds so good, but I don't really know why.
Yeah, I can't put my finger.
I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
That is a very powerful move within the music industry on any capacity.
I wonder, because you brought up Star Wars, George Lucas went out and took sounds from all over the place. I think that the what was it? Chainsaws going through trees were possibly the sounds of the lightsabers, or something along those lines. And there were just all of these sounds in day-to-day life that he took things from. And I'm wondering, do you stick to whatever the programs have to offer, or do you go out and cultivate some of your own sounds?
Going out in the field, yes. And by the way, that was actually a projector.
Okay.
He used the lightsabers for. It was a microphone, and he would like use the wand and everything that had the microphone on it.
The chainsaw was probably for something else, because I did see.
Oh yeah,
something
you
about
just made that.
Yeah, I didn't just make it up. I swear.
They've sampled everything, and that's the thing, is that I personally, like, actually the other day I was in a parking lot and I heard this weird, like almost like a weird mechanical sound, and I'm literally going around this parking lot running, and I realized it was a steamroller. It was like, just like kind of going along.
Yeah.
And I stopped, and I just recorded him for like probably 2 or 3 minutes.
Nice.
And so I'm like, oh, this will be great. I am a music tech enthusiast. That's like one of my things, is that I review, I beta test and I review software for new synths and plugins
cool.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a company called XLN Audio, shout out. They made this plugin called Life. And it takes any recording, 15-second recording, and it uses its artificial intelligence to automatically generate beats.
That is awesome.
So you'll have like clapping hands, and it will make a beat out of it'll
is that something that's just in beta now, or can everyone get access?
Everybody
to that?
can get access to it. It's a nice price, but I mean,
Sure.
it's not a free plugin, but it's Max Martin was the investor for this, who's
Wow.
Max
Yeah.
Martin's like Britney Spears and all that stuff, like one of the biggest producers of our time.
Yeah.
Besides Quincy, and I would say Skrillex too. But anybody can get access to this plugin, and as long as you have Logic Pro or Ableton and stuff.
That's cool.
It's
what's it called again?
Life, Life, and
By XLN.
XLN Audio, and so literally you it's one of these like just point and click, and like you get the recording, and any audio file for 15 seconds it will record. Like it will make a, let's say it's a blah 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 blah, it will make it into a blah 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 blah.
That's pretty
kind
cool.
of beat. So it's very interesting.
I want to go back to a conversation we had before we got on the mics. You were telling us a little bit about that during COVID you started to work with Apple Music. Can you tell us a little bit about in what capacity you were working with them and what that looked like?
So I was with a team of about 10 people, and we were tasked with basically delivering DJ sets into Apple Music.
Very cool.
And so we were with the team that would deliver these mixes but we would have to identify all of the songs within the mix, even if we didn't get a track list. And they had to be a specific, time of how many songs that were on Apple Music for them to be counted as a mix. And, if they had certain artists that were blacklisted that could not be on Apple Music, that was a big thing. And yeah, it was a time, and I worked with some of the best musicians and DJs I've ever met. Musicians from, San Francisco, Chile, all over the world. Yeah.
That's super cool. When you work with a huge entity like Apple, do you feel constricted in the way that you create?
Well, Apple had no force over my creative. It was just a job. It was a job, and I was there to be in a professional environment, corporate environment, which I'm so thankful for. I'm so thankful for that opportunity, and I would definitely work for them again in some sort of capacity. But yeah, the level, and they really do take care of the artist. My boss was very much like, hey, like, follow your dreams, that sort of vibe.
That's super cool.
And it was a lot of like, I mean, everybody's a musician that we were working with. They were all had some sort of like, hey, I was in a band. Hey, I'm in a band. Hey, I'm touring next month in Mexico. I can't work. Oh, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. You know what I mean? So
is that environment considered a stepping stone to advance your career as a musician? Like, because you're around people from that caliber?
I was like, if you want to work in the corporate environment, it's definitely a stepping stone. I was just trying to learn how to do the job and do the job well. Mm-hmm. I was not interested in climbing a corporate ladder. I mean, I was interested in doing the job, doing my job. That's what I wanted to do. And, in every corporate environment, it's all about, it's like doing the job, but also like, hey, when's the next promotion? Hey, can I get this, that, the other thing? And I was not focused on that. I was focused on doing the job and even to the last second of the job, I was focused on the job. You know what I mean? It's like when I'm DJing, I'm not focused on,
the next show.
I am focused on the present, like Buddha, you know what I'm saying? And or
Be
like
here now.
Well, it's like Qui-Gon Jinn, your focus determines your reality. That's one thing that, he said to little Anakin, 9-year-old Anakin, the Phantom Menace, was your focus determines your reality. And my focus at any given time on the task at hand is the task at hand. We're guys, like sometimes we can't multitask. We have to be focused on, like I'm focused talking to you guys right here, right now. My phone's on silent. Nothing's coming through my phone. If that all makes sense. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I just wonder, like, did you try to have it parlay into like using connections there because they're connected in like the music industry and you're working for Apple, which is a huge conglomerate, so like
yes and no. I mean, I'm not an abuser of like that environment, but if I have like a release coming up, I can get my releases into playlists on like Apple
cool.
Music and stuff.
Right.
Like that sort of stuff is not a problem.
But then that's based on like the relationships you made with people and being likable and
exactly.
Again, not abusing that or like coming in trying to like mooch off of that thing, but like there is value there to be used as a.
And I'll still go to events that are like Apple like events, not like what is it, employee parties or stuff like that. But if there's like hey, I'm having a barbecue, come on over, let's hang out with a bunch of people from Apple. Okay, cool. Like, hey, how's everything? You know what I mean? And it is staying around that environment that does inspire me, because sometimes like, it is a lonely. Post-COVID, in this post-COVID world, and I'm writing about this in my book, it is a lonely world right now. And I think we definitely got that mention in Blade Runner 2049. Mm-hmm. You guys see that movie?
Yeah. I didn't know, but I saw the original Blade Runner.
Yeah, the original is great. Yeah. But you should definitely see 2049. Kind of a long movie, so just, maybe like just watch it with somebody. Yeah. But it is a heavy like dose of like what it is to be, and I mean it's June. It's it's Pride Month, and it's also Men's Health Awareness Month, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I think I said that right, something like that. But
I didn't even know that.
It's good to know.
Yeah. It's and that goes for all men. If you identify yourself as a male, it is still your mental health that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And it's a big, it is a struggle for us creatives out there on occasions, and sometimes you have to I surrounded myself with people that are very well rooted in the lanes that they're doing in the industry, like Danny and Tyler and my friend James Thompson. He's Instagram's #1 hip hop violinist. He's one of the reasons I have all these streams is that we worked on music together for years, and he's really good at getting promo and streams and all that stuff. He's like 1 million followers or something on Instagram. and he's kind of like gone his own way with his own artistry, and I'm kind of like going my own way. But we like still like come together and we do things. And so it's finding that core that you can count on in a rough situation. Be like, hey, like, I'm in my feels today, guys. What do you think? And then I get this like across my head, like, you know, you signed up for this, Spencer. You signed up to be a musician. You have to remember that. My friend, she's a bassist. She in a huge metal bands. She like always was like, you signed up for this. You signed up for that. I'm like, you know, I did, and I accept that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Didn't mean to go off.
Absolutely. No.
But listen, even when you sign up for this sort of thing, it doesn't change the fact that sometimes you feel a certain way.
And it doesn't get easier just because you signed up for it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's still going to be hard.
Yeah. And especially like when you're on the journey, you know, signing up for it is one thing, but then when you're traveling that journey, it's very different because you're in the midst of it. Yeah. And maybe you don't realize when you sign up what it actually takes. And then once you're out there on that journey, it's like, wow, there's a real weight to this. And it's, you know, it's like you got to keep going, but it's not easy.
You guys know, you guys are in the field,
yeah,
creative field, and it's like, you know, you are filming one day on a big project, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, actually, I hired this whole other team to like do it. Sorry, you know what I mean? Like,
where there's no work for 3 months.
Exactly, and then, or you're on like, I was on the set of Bones. I was a photo double, I think that was what it's called, and like you know, they'd shoot the back of my head, and I actually had a SAG voucher from that, which was.
I was gonna say you look like David Boreanaz. No, just kidding.
no, the intern, who's the intern, and but the intern's about a foot taller than I am, which is kind of funny.
So they had you standing on an apple box.
Yeah, right. Well, it was mostly just like, you know, side of the hair and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and so but you know, that environment. It's like cinematographers. It's like okay, got the or the DP, the director of photography is like, he's like, okay, like got it, yeah, okay, all right, like you know, all right, it's, we got a 45-minute cigarette break, you know, like it's that sort of thing where there's like, it's a job at that point,
right?
You know what I mean? And it's like unionized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you know, when you talk about like the being on and off as a freelancer, it is so difficult to be in the midst of something that makes you feel so in tune with your purpose. You're on a set that like just it feels so great to be there and be in the middle of it, and then when you're not working after that, it's like, damn, like it felt like I was so close to walking my path and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and now what? And when am I going to get that feeling again? And that's something that's really difficult about any of these creative industries, I think.
And meanwhile, like after in the post-COVID world, I was learning how to like actually have relationships,
sure, with
like friends and people that like, for the longest time I was just like, I was on my own. I was like total loner. And then all of a sudden I realized, you know, after like living on my own, I'm like, wow, I have a lot of like just pent up like anger and just pent up energy that needs to be like processed. And like I've had probably 10 plus friends from since I was in high school just die. You know what I mean? Like they were like movie stars. I've had like musician friends. I've had people just hit by cars, you know, just different things that have happened. And I never processed it. I was just always like music, next show, next this, do that, all the above. And then there was just a time where I just had to like feel that. Mm-hmm. And when it hit, it hits like a ton of bricks. But I always thought like, again, I always thought that I was like a robot, like the Master Chief, kind of like going through the things. But honestly, like I realized that I'm more human than I ever realized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we have taken a lot of your time, and we're probably going to wrap up here in a minute, but I just do want to go back to performing live. And you talk about laser focus. You talk about how there was someone that told you they've never seen someone so focused doing their thing. How do you get into that headspace? Because I'd imagine it's not something where you just kind of, you know, snap your fingers. There must be some sort of I don't know if it's a ritual or some kind of thing that you do to make yourself transition over that line into, okay, now I'm Azlan, now I'm performing, and I'm really encompassed in this thing.
there's so many different ways to do it. For me, it's looking. I literally get like, it's like Walk the Line. What's that musician's name? Do you remember that?
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash, Walk the Line. Where he literally thinks about his whole life before he performs, that sort of thing. It's a combination of that and just like, it's a combination of all that and just like being in the moment and really just understanding like I always ask myself, I'm like, why am I here on this planet? And then I'm like, it's, this is why. And it's talking myself into it, and it's really like hyping myself up to do that's how I hype myself up to do the show, if that answers the question.
No, and it makes sense then that it doesn't matter the size of the audience you're performing to, that you're going to give your all, because in your estimation, everything you've ever done has led to this moment. And that's so cool. That's a great mentality to have when you're going into these things, and you really do want to give 1,000% to the performance. That's great.
Thank you.
I want to close us out with one of your songs. So, is there a song that you'd like to play us out with? What would you like us to choose from your Spotify here?
I can't quite see that far away. I'd probably choose. Is there a? I'd probably choose Archangel.
You got Archangel there?
Is Archangel there? You go to.
Might have to look it up.
Yeah.
Bam.
There it is. All right, cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and close us out here. Spencer Davidson, a.k.a. Azlan Audio, it's been an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you.
I love hearing about your mentality in terms of being a creative and what that path has looked like for you. I'm very excited now to hopefully at some point see one of your shows and get to witness that laser focus firsthand, and to see some of these visuals that you're putting together that sound absolutely incredible. You've made a very long journey to be here today from the OC, and we greatly appreciate that. And it's been a blast.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on, fellas.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, man, for sure.
We are Dave and Dave, as always, Sapo Studios. We hope you'll tune in with us next time when we have another fantastic artist. And we're going to play our show out now with Archangel by Azlan Audio. Check it out.
I don't want nobody else to you. Nobody else to you.